wife would only know that people actually thought I didn't talk loudly enough. Amazing. So he contacted me and said, how would you feel about writing this musical? And I was thrilled that he came to me for us to come back together again and write this musical. And to all that what you said about making Sebastian a Caribbean crab, Howard was looking for a way to have a contemporary edge to the score. And so it was sort of an excuse also to be able to get that style of music into the show.
Yeah, I think Howard not only wanted to get calypso and reggae into the score, so we're contemporizing the music, and by making the crab this sort of Jamaican guy, it made the song sort of more contemporary and accessible.
We went to New York to meet with Howard that first time. About 6 months later, we went to New York a second time. And we saw Smile on that trip, and we saw Jody and Smile. And Howard and Alan actually, in Howard's apartment, you guys, if you remember, played Part of Your World, already written the song.
So this was in December of '86. We went there, and Alan played the piano, and we heard Part of Your World for the first time there in Howard's Soho apartment, and it was just a very magical sort of theatrical experience, a live performance. We were sitting there a few feet away as they sort of did the song for us, and it was really a wonderful introduction to the song.
Jody, you knew Howard certainly from Smile, and you had been on Broadway and other shows, many other shows. What was that like to start to work with Howard and Alan and start to hear the demos come in and start to be coached and kind of work on the songs for the first time? What was your first call on the movie?
An unbelievable opportunity. I mean, to be able to audition for this movie, and then a year goes by and you get the call that your voice has been selected. Start flying back and forth, and just having that very first read-through, like a Broadway show. We all got around the table, all of us.
We did a recording right here in Hollywood in '87, I think, after we'd written the script, and we had Jody there, and Sam Wright, and all the actors. And we had never really done this, but it was more of a theatrical approach, and we had Howard and Alan there doing the songs. Of course, we thought we should record this for posterity and everything. And so they did the whole reading, and then we turned to the engineer and we go, "Did you record?" And he said, "No one said record." Right, so at this event, we had just gone through the whole thing, and it wasn't.
We got some great photos.
Yeah, we have great photos, yeah.
Some good stuff. Actually, you guys did it a second time.
We actually said, "Can you hang around?" And we did it a second time, so we recorded the second
one. I think Jody was cast, and Sam Wright was cast, and played Sebastian. We had not met you, I think.
No.
Yeah, we just saw you in the play.
We heard tapes, and we heard your tapes, but
I mean, reel to reel, the old reel to reel.
Right, there were many people that read for Ariel both out here and in New York, and then we heard tapes from New York, including Jody, and again, without looking at Jody, just hearing her voice and hearing her sing, we just said, "She is the mermaid." Yeah, really, but when we weren't picturing Jody as she was, just sort of picturing the character with your voice, and that really sold it to us, and then we hired her and brought her out to California to record.
And just unbelievable opportunities, to get to work on that project, like a Broadway musical. We recorded together and simultaneously, through the plexiglass, and Howard was right there.
We actually brought a clip along of you and Howard Ashman recording, and we want to share this with you at the audience. Howard is a very special guy. This is a little clip that features Howard Ashman working with Jody. It's from that.
And I think this is on the DVD.
I think we want to make songs that would tell the story, songs that would really move the story forward, really push the plot along and keep things driving ahead.
They approached it like a Broadway musical. It is something totally different. The characters actually run out of words, can't express themselves anymore, and it has to come out in song.
I want to be where the people are. I want to see them dancing.
Probably one of the fondest memories I have of working on Little Mermaid is Howard Ashman right next to me.
I want to travel more, even more, using more tomboyish.
The homework was already done. I just took it and I just stole everything that he did.
What would I give if I could live out of these waters? The intensity is better than what would I give is better than noise.
He would raise me up to such a level of performance.
What would I give if I could live out of these waters? What would I pay to spend a day warm on the sand?
And I got the video of the recording and watched Jody sing, and it was just seeing it in her eyes. She believed it just like I believed it in listening to it.
Now, Glenn, we talked a little bit about you were working on Great Mouse Detective doing Radigan, terrific character from that film. What was your first experience on Little Mermaid? What attracted you to it? And you were asked to play this leading role, which would be forever defined as Disney's Little Mermaid. What did it feel like?
Well, for me, I wanted to follow Ron and John around on any picture that they were working on. And I'd been doing the big villains, bears and giants, and I was going to do Ursula. And then I started thinking different when I heard, actually, your version, you were singing part of Your World. And wow. And you did a great job, too. Not as good as you, Jody, but there's something to that song. And then I saw a tape of Jody singing it, and you heard me talking about it. I've got to do that. I've got to do that character. I mean, the idea of doing a character that has this belief that the impossible is possible, that's what drove me. So I remember going down to Ron and John, kind of sweating, like, okay, I gotta tell them that I don't want to do what they think I want to do, and I want to do what I think they probably don't want me to do. I said, I want to do Ariel. I said, well, I mean, that's like a pretty girl and everything. Can you draw big beasts and things? Can you do that? So I know I can do it. I can do this. I've been drawing my wife ever since we've been married, and that's been like 15 years now. Now it's been 30. And so I started to do some drawings of Ariel, like my wife Linda. And then meeting Jody and listening to her voice, the design starts to change. The voice affects the way a character looks. There's an innocence. The eyes became bigger. The hair became more fiery and vibrant. And then with Sherry is our actress who was doing all the acting, the performing. So many of the little movements that you know in Ariel are from Sherry that we filmed. And so much of Little Mermaid is in Sherry. Today you still look like the Little Mermaid. And so it's a combination of all of these elements together that made the character for me.
Sherry, it's really an unusual role to be kind of the actress that's providing inspiration for the animation. You obviously were into improvisation and theater and writing. Have you ever done this before? What's that like?
No, I've never done anything like this.
It's not a common job.
No.
We actually saw Sherry. There was a class that the Groundlings, which is a Los Angeles comedy group, did at Disney, trying to help the animators to get used to improv and acting. We saw Sherry in our little theater there do this, and we just thought she had such a spark and everything. When we were going to shoot this reference, we thought she would be a good way of bringing it.
Going all the way back to Snow White and Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty, there's live-action reference that is shot as a guide for the animators, particularly with the more realistic human characters, because they're so difficult to animate and to draw, and it's kind of isn't publicized a lot, but it really is an aid to the animation, and it kind of inspires the animation, and the animator certainly brings his own stuff to it, but it does help inspire it.
And we wanted to go back to that system that they used on Snow White and Cinderella.
It hadn't been done since Sleeping Beauty. I think it had been the last film when any live action had been shot, but we thought we should really do it on this. So we did research. We talked to some of the
We talked to
involved.
Catherine Beaumont, for those of your fans, who did the voice of great Disney voice. She did Alice in Wonderland, did Wendy and Peter Pan, and they shot live action of her. She's now a school teacher in Burbank, and so she came in and she sounded just like Alice in Wonderland. And so she talked about how they shot the stuff and everything. And then so we launched into this whole thing with Sherry and had her, and it's shot against very simple rudimentary sets. It's very cheesy, and but it can help give a guide to the animator. And we have a couple of clips.
Yeah, let's take a look at the clip.